But weren't we gonna talk about how we decide what designs to use on quilts? Isn't that what we were supposed to talk about today?
Yeah, we talked about, we just spent a half hour talking about the machines. It's all
That's
good.
okay.
Yeah. But that's okay. The same thing again, it kind of leads into it a little bit on, just how do you pick? I mean, I think one of the questions is how or what makes you decide? I mean, are you doing mostly edge to edge right now, Tracey?
For my customers, I do, and Quilt Path is doing all the work. I have 3 quilt paths here. If I had to stand behind the machine at this point and do paper pantographs, I wouldn't get any customer stuff done.
Right. But what about, but I meant more free motion. I didn't mean pantograph on the backside, I guess a little bit. Because I figure I look at pantograph on the backside and the computer kind of the same. You're picking a design.
Yeah.
Going with it, whereas free motion, it's free and you get to do whatever. But picking a pantograph, let's just stick with picking a pantograph.
Sure.
For a quilt. That's in our next little bit that we have. We can just talk about that. How do you pick that out when the customer says, hey, quilter's choice?
I'm lucky because all my customers just say, do your thing. I look at several things. I always ask them who it's for, because sometimes it's not always obvious. Like a quilt's not necessarily, say, clearly pieced for a baby girl or a little boy, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I look at the fabrics, the colors, the styles of the fabrics. Is it mostly solids? Is there a lot of tone on tones? Is it all prints?
Mm-hmm.
And how much piecing is in it as well, right? So when it comes to genre, I kind of look at the quilt and it'll have a feel to it. Like it'll look like it's, if you've got something that's all earth tones and most of the fabrics are little like prints of leaves and an acorn and, whatever, well, clearly that's an organic forest type of feel to that quilt, right?
Right.
So I'll do something leafy on it. It may have curls in it, but it's going to be leafy because it's going to kind of go with the prints in the fabrics and the feel of the quilt by the colors and all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you get something that's got a lot of tone on tones or solid colors and it doesn't really give you a feeling, it doesn't give you any shapes to pull from the fabrics, I just kind of, I think about who it's for, take a gray and dark gray, light gray quilt. I don't know. Tone on tone.
Well, but the one right behind you.
Is this for? Yeah. So the fabrics don't really give you any indication of what it wants, right?
Right.
But if I have asked that customer, well, who's this for? And she tells me it's for her granddaughter who's going to university in the fall. Or the same lady comes in and tells me that it's for her grandson who's going off to college. I'm going to quilt them very differently, even though they're exactly the same quilt.
Right.
They're for different people, right? And I'm not saying that just because you're a girl, you're going to want flowers and leaves and curly cues and all that kind of stuff. And if you're a guy, you're only going to want, linear, geometric, all that kind of stuff. But that really does help when you're trying to decide what to do on it. And then when it comes to scale, I quilt quilts depending on what they need, not necessarily what people want. So what I mean by that is, say somebody brings me a postage stamp quilt, 100 by 100. It's all 1-inch squares. They're not getting some open, loosey-goosey thing, because a couple times in a washing machine, nothing's going to fall apart.
Right.
If you've got 4 seams every 1 inch, that needs to be densely quilted so that it stands the test of time and stays together. So it's going to have to be a tighter pantograph, or tighter if you're free motion quilting. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
How do you, what's your method?
I just, try to take time for a second. I mean, this is all like also subjective.
Oh, totally, totally.
Like what my mood is. No, not. But I mean, to more. I mean, I obviously I do the same thing with you. What ask the customer? Is this for somebody who's modern and traditional? And then if it's pieced well, we could go nice and dense. If it's not, if I had a postage stamp that wasn't pieced very well, I might do just a little bit looser because of the wonkiness potential, right? Because I don't want to have foldovers and have some issues down the road and try to make it as square as possible.
Right.
So there's some of that all of that is like, I feel like we're great detectives when it comes to picking a pantograph, but I try to pull from the modern, the traditional, loose, tight densing. And then also if there's something that pops out on the fabric, there's a motif somewhere kind of in the fabric, if there's swirls, like you said, or leaves, or if there's rectangles and triangles, something that is in the fabric itself, or maybe one prominent fabric that's in there that would kind of shine out and bring it together. It's kind of like thread color. Just because I have a red, white, and blue quilt doesn't mean I have to pick a red, white, or a blue thread. I could pick something that's complementary to that, like a gold or a silver.
Absolutely.
So that's what I kind of, again, sit there, and I love telling people, if you don't know what it's going to be, and especially even my renters, lay out your quilt and put 2 paper pantographs that you like on top of it and see which one the quilt likes.
Yes, I do that too. And even though you can't see through the paper, just laying the pantograph on top will still, and you stand back a little bit, it still gives them an idea of what those shapes are going to look like. And I do that once they've loaded it and it's just hanging there. It's like, okay, lay them both there, lay 3 of them there, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like picking thread, right? When we choose thread, at least here, I choose thread by getting several, 2, 5, 10, I don't know, however many,
Mm-hmm.
and puddle the thread on the frame, and then immediately start eliminating what you don't like.
Yes.
Until the right one speaks to you. You know what I mean? You can do the
Perfect.
same thing with the pantographs. Even though you can't see through them to the quilt, it still will show you how it's gonna look.
Right. I feel that's because that little picture doesn't do it justice.
No, roll it out, lay it on there, and stand back and look, and you'll see the shapes and see if they're gonna meld nicely or not.
I've actually heard some of the quilt paths, some of the computer customers take that pantograph and put it into a shape and into a box into whatever shape, a square, and then either make it small or bigger and print that off, take pictures to show what the different density looks, how it would look like if it was 9 inches compared to 3 inches, that
Right.
same pantograph, and show it to the customer and take a picture and maybe lay it right on the quilt as well before they start doing it with a computer. So you can make your computer, you can take that picture and still print it off and lay it on your quilt to kind of look like a pantograph.
Oh, cool. That helps them understand the scale.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I thought that was I heard that somewhere and I'm like, that's just brilliant to lay that on for especially somebody who's struggling.
Yeah, that is a good idea. And we would do that with, freehand, we would do that too, right? Like even if you're just drawing on your plexiglass, I think I showed plexiglass on one of our lives with that you can just lay it on. It's an 1/8 inch thick, and you can just lay it on top of your quilt and you can design. You can do that and you can see, oh, okay, well, I can do it this big. Oh, or I can like triple it up, do the same design, but make it a lot smaller. How am I going to like that?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think there's people, like I see people who are doing free motion quilting in the world, because I love trolling a bunch of web pages on my Facebook page groups, kind of seeing some ideas, right? I see some people who do motifs and then do lots of echoing in between the next motif. That's even another interesting technique, I think.
Mm-hmm. You start with the one little shape and then you echo around it a bunch.
And then do another little one, yeah, kind of thing. Or even just do a flower and then echo around it 4 or 5 times. Usually I like to do 1 or 2, maybe 3. I like odd numbers, but I don't want to get more than that for some reason. That is not my thing. But some other people, it was just an interesting observation I made the other day. It was kind of fun to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of everybody. Nothing's meant to look like somebody else's.
Right.
Like, you don't want everything to be the same.
Right. And I will just tell you, sometimes I put a wrong pantograph on my staff because she's just started at our store, and at their old store, she would put down puzzle. She just put down puzzle on the pantograph. And I'm like, I don't have a puzzle. So I bought a puzzle and put the puzzle on there. The lady's like, I didn't pick that one out, but that doesn't look that bad. She was beautiful about it. So I had to go to the staff and say, okay, when we mean meander, it means meander to me, not puzzle. She was totally.
Oh, because there's actual designs called puzzle.
Yes, crazy puzzle. And she would just put puzzle. Yes. It's all in the verbiage, but the lady liked the way it turned out. It was it was a happy accident.
That's good.
I know. Trust me, I know.
Although, honestly, had it have been way off kilter, you'd have checked or said something. Like, that design, the way that happened was an accident, but clearly that design still was suitable for that quilt, or you would have flagged that this can't be what they want on here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Truly, for sure.
Yeah. So your judgment was in there too and did the right thing.
And I have actually done that once too, when because my staff brings in the quilt sometimes when I'm not here, and they'll put something down, and I actually called somebody the other day and said, can we think about this one? Let me send you a picture, and this is why. And I mean, I've actually kind of can we have a second look at this? I'm okay if you want to keep the same one. I'm totally fine, but can you just look at this one?
Yeah. And that's part of our job as well, is to help guide them, because I mean, we've seen so many quilts, and they talk to us
all night long.
So let them talk to us.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm not saying we know everything. That's not what I'm saying at all. But we've done enough and seen enough and experienced enough different types of quilts to just be comfortable. Like, I'm totally comfortable choosing designs for other people's quilts, because I look at them and I just see them quilted, and then I just follow through, and I've never had anybody complain.
Right. It depends on, it was a different situation, so I get to be a little bit sensitive on some things sometimes. And I just also, ultimately, I want to make it right. I want that quilt to be perfect for that person. And my eyeballs are different than their eyeballs, and I try to see it through their eyeballs, because that's part of the thing too. It's not, it's just one of the things. It's all good.
And it's their quilt at the end of the day. It isn't ours.
Right. Yes, I'm here to do what you want, period.
Yeah. I get it.
That's a good thing.
I get it.
Well, other than that, I think this is a topic we could talk of a lot and forever and again and cover over and over again, because I think some things shine through. I think the new digital fabrics are bringing some interesting motifs into my quilting world, I think, in some ways. And some of the very dense pantographs that are out there too bring in some fun things to think about too with some of the quilting. It's just not leaves and flowers anymore to me. It's not always ever been that, but I think some really cool modern designs are coming in a little bit more.
Oh, cool. Like geometric, you mean? Like,
I think so. I think I just feel like, there's some designers out there that are uber dense, right? Just really, really dense pantographs. And man, they look like phenomenal. My eye gets drawn to them. I don't know if I want to do customer quilts that way, because I don't know if lots of people like that because it can be thicker, denser quilts are stiffer.
Well, and the more dense you quilt a quilt too, you're quilting all the air out of the batting. So while a design may look amazeballs on something, if it's meant to go on somebody's bed and keep them warm, you might not want lines that are 1/8 of an inch apart.
Right.
Because by the time you're done, that quilt's going to be like about this thick. And it's not going to be very warm because the batting in the middle is no longer really batting. It's just like,
Fabric.
well, it's flat.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have any air in it, it's not going to have any warmth in it either. So, yeah, I love all those really dense designs, though. That's right up my. I'm an over quilter,
Yes.
and I'm okay with that.
Right. But that's where like the whole cloth quilts are fabulous. You don't have to have a lot of piecing.
You don't need any piecing.
No. Right. Just put a couple pieces of fabric together with some batting and go.
Yes, come with us. We're gonna make some pretty things.
Get a variegated
Some fabric and some thread.
Yes.
And a bunch of batting in the middle to make it nice and puffy.
Yes, that will be, yes. Have you tried Quilter's Dream Puff?
I think so. I have. Is that the poly?
Yes, very, very thick poly, kind of
I
like
have
down.
some here. Yes.
It is fabulous.
Yeah. But it's poly. So I personally, I couldn't sleep under that.
Right.
But when it comes to the texture and the dimension and all that kind of stuff, like for a wall hanging or something, or even something that's going to lay over the back of a couch, phenomenal. But I can't regulate my body temperature like at any point in the day, just existing. I can't sleep under polyester at night.
Right. I can't wait to try. Jenny got me thinking about triple batting now. I can't wait to try that.
Oh, with her quilt, with her elephant quilt?
Yes.
Gosh, that was phenomenal.
Right.
Yes. Yes. We talked a lot about batting today, too. I'd like to try something triple batted as well. Just some samples, even like triple batting, like cotton wool, and then triple batting 80-20. Just to see the difference in the heaviness and the stiffness and the texture of the different types of batting. You know what I mean? And mixing and matching.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
There'll be some experimenting in the future. I see it happening. Now that you got all moved.
One of my students today, they all came in, they're like, oh my gosh, this place is beautiful. It's so much nicer than your last. I hear that a lot. This is so much nicer than your last location. I'm like, hey, I know. I spent 7 days a week there for 3 years. Trust me, I know this place is better. But then one of them looked at the back. I've got that 500 square feet of back there.
Yes, I can't say it. I can't say it on, right? I get you.
And the door was open and the light was still on because I'd gone back there for something. And she looked back there and she said, oh my, what's back there? And I said, just pure chaos. She said, how long have you been here? I said, 6 weeks.
I brought the chaos.
In that 6 weeks, I have moved, taught a boot camp, taught several new owners classes, and tried to get my rental program functioning again. And I'm quilting for customers. It's okay.
Yes.
But that's a danger zone. None of you are going back there today, so it's all good.
You shouldn't have seen it in the first place. It's top secret.
Oh, yeah. I usually keep the light off just
Right.
so that, I mean, even though the door is open, I keep the light off so it's not like as apparent that it is a complete mess.
That's the way our brains work, though.
No, I can't even walk. It's like walking. It's like an episode of Hoarders. But only because I haven't had a chance to wade my way through it and put stuff away properly. And I had to get 2 new printers and it's just, one thing after another. And eventually it's just like, okay, just stick it back there. Just stick it back there. Or just shove that over there, move that. But now today, some of them wanted parts. So I had to go back there and I'm literally doing like the danger walk. I'm like walking over bins and I'm trying to get past my big dry erase marker, my big, huge easel thing. And I'm moving that.
That's funny.
Banged into something. I'm like, you're okay back there? I'm like, I'm okay.
Like
okay.
a comical. I'm a comical. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll get to it eventually. I can only do so much in a day, and that's not important to me at the moment.
One time when Jake was out because his son was having surgery and we were going to get his parts organized. So we have 4 bins with the Janome parts and 2 bins with APQS parts, and they're actually A1, A2, A3, A4, and it's written on our system where it is on the shelf. So we're a little bit the other way. I'm sorry.
Oh, you know what? I wish that I had that.
I did not do it. I had somebody else help me. So it was not me doing it. It was somebody else forcing me down the path to do it. It was one of our employees who's very, very precision on everything. So she was the one. I go, you just tell me which one and I'll put it in there.
Okay. I wish I had that. I wish I had somebody that could help me do that.
It's worth finding, if you are somebody who has chaos around you, I think it is worth finding someone to help you with that. And I literally just sat there and she told me, I counted the parts and then she told me where to, we put them in the next one and then we put them in the system. Like I was just the bean counter, literally, but we got it totally organized for him. So when he came back, he didn't have to shuffle through boxes of stuff and where stuff was. So it was our gift to him.
That's awesome. Yeah. If I could find somebody that could help me do that, that would be great. Like just even counting the product, because it gets away from me, and then the counts aren't quite right sometimes on the website, or I've got something and it's not listed on the website because I forgot, you know what I mean? Or it says I've got something and I don't.
It's a daily battle. The battle is real.
Yeah. And I don't, so I'm going to have to find some help, because for a very long time, this has been too much for one person, way too much for one person. But I've always just been one person, but right. it's becoming a detriment, because I can't do the things I really want to do because I'm too busy doing all that stuff.
So find somebody to do the stuff you don't want to do and do the stuff that you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's when you find somebody who wants to do that's probably the stuff that they want to do, is by doing that Excel sheet, the whole organizing. There's people who, Molly thrived on organizing that whole parts for Jacob. She was thriving on it, on organizing it and how to put it together and how we're going to do it. So
for sure. I'm sure there's people that actually that's their joy. Their joy is doing that. Yep.
So same thing.
I didn't get any of those DNAs.
Same.
Not one.
Same.
I was too busy distracted looking at the pretty things on the other side when they were handing out those.
Yes. I'm I'm one of those too. Yes.
Yeah. I caught myself doing that even today, talking about something, and then one of the students, clearly judging by the job that she has, she's very organized and very able to do this. And a couple of times she'd be like, okay, weren't we talking about threads?
Yeah.
But it wasn't just me going off on a tangent, and the conversations just drift.
Yes.
To needles or tools or whatever. But she was really good, because she's like, I think we've gotten off topic. I'm so sorry.
That's beautiful.
Great. Well, you're only with me today from 10 to 4 and you're not here on a regular basis.
Right. I need you on more days, pretty please.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, with that, we should probably say we're at, I think, our time limit, dear. And you have to get your kiddo too, don't you, to help your kiddo with his car?
Yep, he's being dropped off here. His car died this morning. And one of his biggest peeves about his car dying was that yesterday he put in a full tank of gas in the car. He's like, it couldn't die yesterday before I sunk a whole tank of gas into the gas tank.
Always the way. They know.
Yeah.
Well, I wish him luck on getting that fixed, or whatever the journey is on that. So
yeah, it's time for him to get a new one. But this car doesn't owe him anything. He paid $800 for it, and he alone has driven it for 3 years.
Wow.
And he paid $800 for it.
That's good.
So I said to him this morning, sweetheart, this car doesn't owe anybody anything at this point.
Right.
Go buy another car.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's okay.
Good.
He can have my truck for the rest of the week, and I'll ride my motorcycle to work.
Dang it.
Darn it all. I got to take the bike.
Well, we're taking the Bashmobile down to Kansas tomorrow. So that's what we're doing.
Fun.
To see what the new Janome machines are coming out. So we're going to go drink the Kool-Aid, I call it. I'm excited. Go hang out with some Janome dealers, go see what the new machines do, and come back and get ready to start selling some new machines. I'm excited.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah, some of those will be, I know for sure, let's just wink, wink. We'll be talking about, this will be out afterwards. We'll be talking about, Tracey, some more stitch regulators. How did that say? On domestic machines.
Ah, okay. But you haven't given anything away because this won't be seen for a while. And by then those machines will be out. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, coolio.
Yeah, and so I'll be learning a whole lot more, and I'll be able to talk to you some more about how the stitch regulators go. Because me, I just love watching the needle up and down. I don't care how it does. Sometimes I'm just too simplistic that way. I just love the way the needle goes into the fabric and come out and make the beautiful texture.
I am absolutely the same.
Yeah.
Absolutely the same.
All right, dear. With that, you have a fabulous time with your son hanging out in the car.
You too. Yeah, you have a good rest of your day. It's still light outside, so we've still got time for daylight.
All righty. With that, good night, everybody.
Bye.